Alright guys, today it's time for a story. You're going to be hearing a very motivational and somewhat emotional story in this video because I noticed that I have not really gone over my story and who I am as a person. You guys watch my Shopify videos, you know me as Shri Kanase, but who am I exactly? Where do I come from? Where are my roots? Was I one of those lucky people who achieved success overnight, or did I have to work my ass off for it? All kinds of questions are going to be answered in this story. But before continuing on with this story, just go ahead and click that subscribe button down below really quick. Takes 2 seconds, but you stay up to date with the content that I put out basically every other week. And this week has been jam-packed with a lot of quality Shopify videos. But let's go ahead and begin with my story. But my story begins with a Shopify store called Eco Wholesale. This was one of my first Shopify stores which I started, and I had actually made a Reddit post on this store. I wanted to go ahead and advertise this store onto Reddit, but as you can see, the post did get deleted 2 years back. But this is where my journey began mostly, at least on Shopify. So now that I look at this advertising post, I really laugh at myself because I have grown so much over the years since I did post this Reddit post, and I can clearly say that this post would not have worked even if it hadn't been deleted. But if we go ahead and go over to the website, you can see that this Shopify store is not available anymore because I did close it down after losing a couple $100, which was very big for me because again, I was a young teenager looking to make a killing out of e-commerce. But I felt really defeated after this store failed, and this is where I began to think that Shopify is not for me and I better look at something else to make a career out of. The funny thing is, I didn't even buy a domain for this website just because how broke I was. That's why the link still has the My Shopify extension attached to it. But let's rewind back a little bit more to when I was around 13 and 14 years old. I had just become more familiar with eBay after looking at an online ad for eBay, and I had asked my mom to make an eBay account for me. The main reason why I even began selling on eBay was because I wanted to have more of a freedom to buy the video games that I wanted. So that's proof right there that video games actually do benefit you. But my thirst for video games really grew to the point where a little 13 or 14-year-old kid was trying to make money online. But that point was really beneficial for me because it began my whole dropshipping and e-commerce journey. So as I began dropshipping on eBay, so let's write this down just so you guys get a better understanding of all of the stuff that I'm about to say. So began to sell online at 13/14 years old. I'm not sure about the exact age that I was, so that's why I have 2 ages here, but you get the point. I was very young when I started. So after selling on eBay for a few years, I realized that eBay, even though it's providing me some income, is really a horrible idea for me because I was literally taking one whole year to just make $1,000. So it took me 1 year to save up 1K. All in all, it was really not worth my time because I was really losing focus on school and just putting all of my time onto eBay. But I realize it now that actually putting that much focus into eBay helped me develop my online e-commerce skills, which still are useful for me to this day. So I began to spend a little bit less time on selling on eBay and more time on my school studies. But clearly for me, even at that age, I was not fit for studying and getting a job. I knew that then. I had always had a keen interest in business. I didn't exactly know what kind of business I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to do business. So let's also write this down. I didn't have a clear understanding of what business I would do. And because of this unclear understanding, after a few months I went back to selling on eBay because literally I began to get somewhat anxious for my future. During this age, kids usually worry about their future, what they're gonna do, who they're gonna live with, etc. And that is one of the worries that got to me, which is what made me start eBay again. So I did sell on eBay for a few more months, here and there making a lot more per month, but still overall taking a 1 whole year to possibly save up $2,000 or even $3,000. And one day, while searching on YouTube, I came upon a Shopify ad and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Why didn't I think about selling on my own website before? I'm selling on eBay, but eBay is taking all of my money through the fees that I have to pay them, and I'm barely getting any profit, so maybe selling on my own website could diminish the fees that I have to pay. And this is what started my Shopify journey. The store that I showed you guys, which is Eco Wholesale, was actually done 2 years ago, but there was another store which was before this, which was called Muscle Hut, which I started 3 years ago, and that is exactly around this time period after I had gotten back to eBay. So started my first Shopify store 3 years back. And if you haven't already guessed it, it was a total disaster. I didn't know what the hell I was doing on Facebook. I had put up some Facebook ads, and surprisingly I had gotten link clicks for those advertisements that I had made, but I had spent up to $100 without any purchases because I had literally no idea about when to stop an ad, what stats to look for. And speaking of Facebook ad stats, I have a video on exactly what you should be looking for when stopping your Facebook ads. Do check it out, the link should have popped up. But let's write this down: total disaster. And also, if you haven't guessed already, remember the $2,000 or $3,000 I saved up from selling on eBay for a whole year? Yep, that's all gone. So spent around $3K, which is my whole budget, on ads, and I got literally 0 sales in return after spending $3,000. So I spent the next few months in somewhat of a depression state because I had just spent all of my savings. I couldn't buy any more video games that I wanted. I couldn't be somewhat financially free. So spent the next few months in depression. And after getting over the depression phase and completely forgetting about my first Shopify store, I was on YouTube again when I saw another Shopify video. And this time I was like, okay, first time's gone, maybe second time's the charm. So I started yet another Shopify store, and this is exactly the store that you see, Eco Wholesale. Basically, if you read the ad which I have, I was basically trying to create another Walmart because I was selling fashion accessories and electronic stuff and basically all over the board. Somewhat of a general store, but I had no clue what I was doing. So again, I had earned more money on eBay and I decided to just spend that on this store. But I was a little bit smarter this time. I decided to use some free traffic sources such as Reddit and also Instagram to advertise the website. But if you haven't already guessed it, this was yet another disaster. So started my second Shopify store 2 years back, and it also failed. So total disaster once again. And again, I spent all of my savings. So spent all of my savings. So I was demoralized once again. Now I was somewhat more sure that business wasn't for me. I couldn't handle the risks. And clearly I wasn't getting any results from my own businesses. So again came the time of depression, and this time I began to focus my energy on school and began to do better in school. So another depression stage, and began focusing more on school. So a couple of months pass once again. I think around a year or so passes, and I'm selling on eBay, slightly higher income now, and I see a Shopify ad for the third time on YouTube. I really don't know how they kept on retargeting me, but I kept on seeing these ads over and over. So I was like, okay, third time has to be it. So by now you can see how persistent I was in trying to make this work. I failed first time, I tried it again. I failed second time, I tried it again. And that is when I hit jackpot. The third time was a success. But let me mention that it was not an overnight success. So it took me a long time to make the third store work. And by long time I mean a few months. I was literally getting no sales again for a few months, but this time I was more prepared based on the first two failures that I had already went through. And in the month of October, I still remember the day I got my first sale. It was in October. I literally looked at my computer screen and cried. The first sale is always the hardest, but it is also the most meaningful. You may make hundreds of dollars per day or thousands per day, but you will never feel as good as you did on the first day that you got your first sale. And after getting my first few sales, it wasn't an easy journey either, but slowly and steadily as I put more time and effort into my store, I began to see results. I began to get my first $1,000 days, then it slowly changed to $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. The highest revenue day for me was around $8,000 in a single day. But there's a reason why I wrote all of this down for you guys. Nowhere in the stuff that I mentioned does it imply that I had an easy journey. If you look all the way from the top and read it all the way to the bottom, all you see is a bunch of downs and negative stuff. It was a total disaster, again a total disaster, spent all of my savings, depression stage. None of this stuff is happiness or how happy I was for getting success overnight, because that is the reality. Just like any business out there, dropshipping is not easy, and that is exactly what I wanted to show you guys by writing all of this down. It was a bunch of downs for years and years until I finally somewhat got lucky and made all of the money back which I had lost in my previous stages. So even though I lost about $3,000 and then some $2,000 more, let's say about $5,000 or $6,000. Today I'm sitting on a store which has done over $400,000 just this year. I feel confident to say that I have made all of my lost money back plus 100 times more. But it is this journey which is the hardest. It is these first steps which are the most hardest and most difficult, and also the most common for a lot of people to quit. So if you're with me right now and still watching, I just want to say thank you for joining me on my journey, and also to never give up. You don't know how many good things are waiting for you on the other side. And I have a perfect photo to illustrate this topic for you guys, which is right here. You never know how far you are from success, as you can clearly see from this guy who was just one hit away from getting all of these diamonds. And I believe I have been this guy 2 times before. So it is important for you to keep on trying and keep on fighting through without giving up. And every time you feel like giving up, just remember the first day that you started and what the reason was why you even started your journey. But all I can say is there are tons and tons of resources out there to do well with Shopify. I have a ton of videos on my channel. I have a Facebook group which has a lot of posts about Shopify. Keep on trying and keep going at it. You will reach success just like I did, but just know the journey was not easy. I'll see you guys next time.